Good afternoon, dear viewers. Today, we will talk about what is happening on the international stage in the context of relations between Ukraine, the United States, and Russia. The political situation in Eastern Europe has changed significantly in recent months, and in this video, we will try to understand what events have become decisive and what awaits us in the coming months. The Ukrainian crisis, the current situation amid international tensions, Ukraine continues to fight for its independence and territorial integrity. April 2025 was an important moment. The latest news shows a significant improvement in the situation on the front, but also new challenges, such as the economic crisis and instability within the country. Ukraine continues to resist Russian aggression, but the latest successes on the front are associated with an increase in arms supplies and financial assistance from the United States and Europe. However, the domestic political situation remains tense. The role of the United States policy and support for Ukraine. The United States of America remains one of Ukraine's main allies, supporting the country both financially and militarily. In April 2025, the White House announced new sanctions against Russia, as well as additional arms supplies to the Ukrainian armed forces. The United States will continue to support Ukraine, but the political situation in the United States may affect the scale of this assistance. In recent months, there has been a debate in Congress about how long-term this support should be, given the growing budget deficit and domestic problems. Russia. Reaction and domestic problems. Russia continues its aggressive policy towards Ukraine, despite international sanctions and growing pressure from Western countries. However, the situation within Russia itself is not so clear-cut. In April 2025, the country faced economic difficulties caused by international sanctions and falling oil prices. Russia is trying to strengthen its position in international relations, but economic problems are beginning to make themselves felt. Domestic protests, falling living standards, and an economic crisis are becoming a serious challenge for the Russian government. Forecasts for the future. What will happen next? The situation on the international stage remains uncertain. Continued support for Ukraine from the West and increased sanctions against Russia could lead to a new round of confrontation. At the same time, the domestic political situation in both Ukraine and Russia remains unstable. We can expect further escalation of the conflict in Ukraine, especially if the internal situation in Russia deteriorates. However, the possibility of a diplomatic solution also remains, although it seems unlikely at the moment. Conclusion. Whatever happens, it is important to remember that the consequences of this war will have long-term effects not only on Ukraine, Russia, and the United States, but also on the entire world. We must monitor the development of the situation and hope that peace will be found despite all the obstacles.